Today is a really exciting day. Today is new chicken day, but I don't have any place to put them. So I'm just gonna rearrange a few things in here and build a temporary brooder. I'm messing y'all's routine up. Sorry. You can lay them eggs later. Should probably fix this before I go any farther. That's better. Good work.
Glue in there.
In where? In the board?
Yeah.
Because I put it in there. Thank you.
Where'd you put it?
The screw, it's in my hand. What kind of feather do you think that is?
It's a black chicken feather. I want to eat the feather.
You can keep it. Alright, can you help me push this over?
Yeah, why are you push it over?
Alright, you ready? Alright, push it that way. You gotta go over there. I'm doing it here. You do it over there.
Okay.
You ready? Push it that way.
Okay.
We're gonna push it toward that wall. You ready? There you go. Here, let me get inside. You ready? Push, push, push. Push, push, push. Good job. All right, you got to get in there and spread it around. What you got, Betty?
Cheapskates.
What are they saying?
We're hungry, we're hungry, we're hungry, we're hungry. Can you get one?
You don't want to hold one?
No. Hi, Chiefster. You want it now, don't you?
$15. All live. I'm happy to report that all 15 of the new chicks arrived alive and in good shape, and as you can see, they're in here drinking and eating and running around and warming up, and I think they're going to be okay. Time will tell. I've never had a dead chick from Hoover's hatchery, but I've had a few die since I've gotten them. Once I got them, I think I've had 3 die out of maybe 75, which really is not bad at all. But this package that I got here is the Hatchery Choice Rare package, and I got 15 because that's kind of the minimum. But these are, of course, I don't know what they are now. I'm not really a chicken expert, but it could include Plymouth Rock, Midnight Majesty, Morans, Sapphire Olive Egger, Speckled Sussex, Blue Andalusian, Silver Lakenvelder, Cuckoo Morans, French Black Copper Morans, there's a big list here. If you go to Hoover's Hatchery, it's the Hatchery Rare Choice package that I got. So we'll see what they turn into. I'm really interested to see what they grow into and what they look like. But I'm really happy to say that they're all in great shape now. We'll just see what time does to them. I've also got to get that brooder box covered up so that the bigger chickens don't get in there and peck the smaller ones. So let's see if we can find some wire to do that with. I'd love to use this heavier stuff if it's long enough. This is one of those function over fashion type situations. It's not real pretty, but I think it'll do the job. After this batch of chickens gets out of the brooder, what I'm planning on doing is just taking this brooder apart. It's just put together with screws and putting it up in the loft here of the chicken coop and saving it for when I need it next time. That way it won't take up a whole lot of space. It'll be out of the way and I'll be able to use it again. Well, now it's time to swap to another farm animal. Y'all will remember this pig pen that I built last year out of cattle panel and electric fencing. Those 2 feeder pigs have since gone to the great paddock in the sky, and it's time to start preparing for some new pigs for the year. This carabiner was one of my brilliant ideas from last year to reinforce the bottom of these cattle panels so that the pigs couldn't get out, and it turns out neither me nor the pigs could get through this. I got to get this off before I do anything. Nope, it wasn't as bad as I thought. This corner here also served as the gate, and it was just shut by these bungee straps, these Tractor Supply bungee straps that did not weather so good at all. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's in pretty rough shape there. It's kind of disappointing. I attached these cattle panels to the T-posts, of course, with these T-post clips, and these did a wonderful, wonderful job holding these things on. It looks like I was extra paranoid about these corners here. I've got 6 clips on these corners. Most of them are down here at the bottom, which makes sense, pig level. Really did not want them to get out, and they never did. Later. Cricket used to make really frequent appearances on the channel, but she got to where she would wander a lot, and I started putting her in the pen a lot, and she didn't like that very much, of course. So I put in 5 acres of underground fencing around here, and she had a blast for several months. But then the underground fencing started breaking. And when it would break, I would go and repair it, and eventually it got to where it's run by radio waves, and it got to where it was, I guess it was just too weak. There was too much leakage of that radio frequency out of it to the collar, and it just quit working. So now she's wearing a collar that I've got her trained on. It's got a remote to it, and I can make it beep, and when it beeps, she knows to come back. And what I'll do sometimes is I'll beep it, she'll come back, and I'll feed her some bacon, and she's does a pretty good job coming back most of the time. Pigs must have buried this clip. No, that's a root. No, I guess it was just dirt. I dumped this thing once the pigs were gone. I don't know if this is rainwater or if I just missed some. Not much. I'll get the T-posts another day. So if y'all remember, that little pen was not the only space that we raised these pigs in last year. Towards the end, maybe a month or so before they went to the butcher, I put them out onto pasture, kind of. It was just kind of an extended area so that they could have a little more space, a little more room. I was super skeptical about doing it because I was really afraid they were just gonna plow through this electric fence right here. It was much tighter at the time, but they did not. And they got out, and they didn't have this muddy, nasty place that stunk to high heavens. They had a whole lot of space, and they found a spot, and they pooped in that one spot, and it was great. It was the best thing that I did. So I want to show y'all what my plans are this year. I've got some very similar plans, but I'm gonna step it up a level this year. So there's four main things that we're changing this year on our pig operation. If you want to call it that, it's really just us growing pigs for ourselves and some friends and some family. But there's four main things that we're changing. We're changing the location. You see, we've moved it here close to the chicken coop, and the primary reason for that is there's water access at the chicken coop. I really don't want to be hauling water to the pigs anymore. Second thing is amount. We're actually planning, Lord willing, we're planning on having 8 pigs this year. That's 2 for us and 6 spread out over assorted friends and family. And yeah, 8 pigs, that's a lot of pigs. Food, we're changing food. Of course, to feed that many pigs, you're looking at 800 to 1,000 pounds of feed per pig, and buying it in 50-pound sacks is just not going to cut it this year. So VEVOR sent us that corn grinder that y'all have seen on previous videos. We're going to grind our own corn, mix it with minerals and soybean meal to up the protein content, and make our own pig food. And the fourth thing that we're planning on changing is fencing. Last year we started off with this and kept them in these cattle panels for a good 90% of their time here, and then let them out onto electric fencing later on. But this year is going to be much different, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm sure some of y'all probably saw this coming, but our friends at VEVOR have, of course, have done it again. They have sent us some electric netting that we are going to use for the pigs this year. Let's check this stuff out. I'm the only one that tries to save these really big zip ties when I get them somewhere. These big ones are really handy for things, so I always try to save them when I see them instead of cutting them in half. There we go. So this is VEVOR's take on electric netting, and I'm sure a lot of y'all have seen this stuff on other channels. There's a similar product that a lot of folks use, but it's basically the same concept, and this is just kind of VEVOR's take on it. It's, well, let's just roll it out and check it out instead of explaining it. It'd probably be a lot better. This is one of the biggest product tests here. How difficult is it to get it apart in the first place? That has a tendency to bias your experience with products. Not bad so far. Hey, Cricket, where you been? So I don't think it was exactly rolled up straight. It seemed to be almost folded. It's 164 feet of this stuff in one of these rolls, by the way. Okay, I can't fault VEVOR for this. I've gotten this thing tangled. So guys, I'll give you a brief rundown of this stuff. This stuff was a little bit fiddly to put up. I think it's probably the same issue that I had with the netting, the hawk netting on the chicken run. It's netting, so it kind of gets caught on things. It was folded up in the box, which appears to be the best way to do it, because I tried to roll it up at one point. It didn't work so good. I think it's one of those things that the more I do it, the better it'll get, but it was just a little bit fiddly the first time out of the box. So basically this stuff, all it is exactly the stuff that we looked at in the original pig pen earlier in this video. It's single strand electric fencing, or rope, string, whatever you want to call it. It's nylon string with a metal wire that runs through it that carries the electric current. Each horizontal line here, each horizontal wire is electrified except for the very bottom one, because if the bottom one was, it would short out, of course. The vertical ones are not electrified. This one up here at the top is a much beefier one, and it's yellow, different color, which is kind of cool. These are a little bit smaller here in the middle, but all the horizontal ones are electrified except the bottom one. What's really nice about it, it came with guy wire, so on the corners and on the ends you can pull it tight to make sure the second to bottom strand doesn't hit the ground, and it'll make it look a little bit better too. These, oh, speaking of the guy wires, I wanted to show you all this. A little disappointed in this bag right here. It's got lots of spikes in it for the guy wires, and it's got ropes for that are the guy wires, of course, but the little spikes are probably going to require an upgrade. Maybe some big nails or spikes from Home Depot, those ginormous ones. Those will probably be your best bet, because these little plastic spikes are not going to last. These are kind of puny. These posts on the end, they're made out of fiberglass, seem to be pretty well put together, and there's a dual metal spike on the very bottom that you can use to jam it in the ground, and I'll show you all that in just a minute. Here's the bottom of the post. Those two spikes right there. These are really beefy spikes, actually. If you can see it in comparison to my finger here, those are pretty good, and it's got a little ledge right here that you can use to jam it in the ground with your foot, and it's pretty well put together, but it's just like anything else. If you get down on it too hard, of course it will probably bend, or if you hit a rock. I may have gone in the same hole, that's why it was so easy, but that seems to be pretty well put together. I'm not having any gripes about the quality of this. My friends at VEVOR were gracious enough to send me 4 of these, and that's going to be really good. My plan is to take 2 at a time and make a very large paddock for the pigs, and then make another paddock with the other 2 right next to it. When they're done in one paddock, I'll just walk them to it. Of course, I'll say with pigs, that's, you never just do anything. I'll try to move them to the next paddock somehow, and then just kind of leapfrog them like that. Of course, that kind of mitigates my advantage that I have being right here with the water. I'll end up having to haul water anyway, but that's okay. This particular one is the 42-inch high one, and I was hoping to be able just to step over this into the pig pen, but unfortunately, it's a little bit bit too high for that. So if you're interested in stepping over, try to get a shorter one maybe. This is this one is 164 feet long, and I think they retail for like 130 bucks or something like that. I'll leave some discount codes in the comments and in the description of this video if y'all are interested in this stuff. I think it's checked out for goats and cows and pigs, but not for chickens. It would probably hold a grown turkey as well. But anyway, I'm really excited about this stuff. I'm really excited to see what it's going to do for my pig operation this year. One of the goals for this pig operation was to be able to move the pigs around and kind of clear land and uproot land for us and till and do the things that pigs do, and this is going to allow us to do that, which is really, really cool. My plan for this cattle panel right here is to build a fence right over here somewhere and have that netting that I just showed you along the inside of it, and when they're piglets, put them in there so that they'll be trained to the fence and they won't be able to get out, they won't be able to run through or anything like that. So that's kind of my plan, is to use this stuff to train them to the netting that I just showed you. That's the plan for now anyway. Of course, plans tend to change quite often, so we'll just kind of see what happens. I'm about done for today. I got one more thing I want to include on this video for tomorrow, so we'll do that tomorrow. I've been needing to replace the spigot on this pipe right here pretty much since I put the spigot on there. It was an old one that I upcycled, and it's been just kind of dripping no matter how tight I got it. So let's go ahead and replace this. This should be a quick job. There we go. And see if it leaks. I'm not 100% if it's leaking or not, so we'll leave that for a little while and come back and look at it later. It's on there. There it went. It's been about 200 hours since I changed the oil in the Kubota here, just a little less than 200 hours I think, and the owner's manual says to change it at 50 hours and then again at 400 hours, and I'm not going to say that the user's manual is wrong there, because I'm sure it's not. I'm sure Kubota's got it figured out, but 350 hours is a very long time between oil changes. I have completely forgotten where to put the oil back in. Here it is. I don't know if y'all can see that, but I managed to put too much in. There's the top notch right there, and it is just a little bit, maybe 1/8 of an inch over that top notch right there. So I'm going to take one of the drain plugs and loosen it and take some of this out. I have overfilled it. This will be the messiest way to do this. A pump would be a whole lot better. check it and see what that did. Basically nothing. That's a little better, a little bit more. I'm going to tighten it and then crank it and let it run for a second and then check it again. I doubt the camera's picking that up, but we're within the lines now, so I'm happy with that. I also want to take this sharp punch here and just scratch the date and the hours so that I can kind of keep up with the oil change here. It's February the 10th. And 300, I'm gonna just round up, say 339 hours. Some of y'all might remember kind of the debacle that I had when I did the first oil change on this tractor. I think the manual says to change it at the first 50 hours, and I waited until like 140 some odd hours. At this point, it's at 338 hours, so it's been about 200 hours since the last oil change, and that first maintenance error that I made me kind of wake up and say, you know what, I got better keep up with the maintenance on this thing, because this was way too big of an investment to be kind of skipping that stuff. But the manual does say every 400 hours, and I don't know. I'm sure that's fine. I know Kubota knows what they're talking about. I'm not trying to contradict that, but 200 just makes me feel a whole lot better. And I usually do 50 hours on the Ford 3000, but anyway, I feel like that'll make it last a whole lot longer. Can y'all see that? I've got a little tiny leak, just an incredibly slow leak there. I'm going to try to turn this one more turn and see if that fixes it. Oh, I hope it doesn't split. Oh, good. That's about it for this video, but I wanted to let y'all in on a little side project I've got going on. This is my little mealworm farm here that I'm working on for the chickens, and these things are not all that bright. They flip over a lot, and I have to ride them. But I started off with 1,100 mealworms in a separate container, and as they grew into the larva, or whatever you call it, I can't even remember what you call it, I would put those pupa, the beetle pupa, in this container right here. And eventually I had a whole bunch of beetles. As you can see here, they're all over the place. There's a whole bunch up under there, and a whole bunch eating that carrot over there, and a few under there as well. And eventually they started doing their thing, and at this point I'm confident that you won't be able to see this, but there are thousands and thousands and thousands of mealworm larvae down in there. If y'all can see some of that bedding moving, that's because the mealworms are pushing it out of the way. That's what that is. So pretty soon here I'm going to separate the beetles out into another container and let the beetles do their thing again and lay more eggs, and let these mealworms in here grow up to be a little chicken snack. Of course, I'll let some of those grown mealworms grow up into the pupa and into the beetles and just kind of start that process all over again. It's been a pretty successful project so far. I very rarely do something that is that successful, so I'm pretty excited about it. Let's check on the chicks again. What do you want? You looking for a snack? This is not the place. Well guys, that is going to do it for this video. I really appreciate you watching. This was another video that was kind of all over the place. We got chickens, we changed the oil in the tractor, checked out some electric netting from VEVOR, checked out some mealworms, just kind of all over the place. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I really appreciate you watching. If anybody's interested in some of that netting, I'm going to put some stuff in the description of this video and in the comments. You can get 5% off on your order, and I believe that is site-wide. So if y'all are interested in the corn grinder or the netting or anything else at all, really, y'all can get 5% off on that stuff. But big thanks to VEVOR, and thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all on the next one.